Welcome to the Geek Out Room podcast. Don't forget you can watch episodes on YouTube on the Sauces Entertainment YouTube channel. You also find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Just type in Geek Out Room podcast in the search engine and you'll find us. With that being said, today we're talking about Deadman Wonderland. This anime was a fever dream, right? Because it came out I don't even know, maybe 2011 or so. It came out on Adult Swim, probably a little later than that, but it came out on Adult Swim, and it just felt like a fever dream watching it or remembering watching it because it was a show that was chaotic and had conveniences and didn't really make much sense. And I'm not going to lie, I'm not going to really talk about the manga part of it and the ending, but I did read it years ago, and the ending didn't even warrant finishing the series anyway, so I don't think it'll ever come back, and that's okay. But with that being said, if you haven't seen Deadman Wonderland, let's talk about this thing, because this thing is so weird to me. First of all, the main character, I think his name was Gengta. Gengta. Let's say his name was Gengta, and he essentially was in school one day with his best friends and such, and then basically this masked person comes and blows up the entire school, or at least completely levels the classroom, and only Ginta is alive. And so the police and everyone automatically was like, you were the only one who lived, so you must have bombed the classroom in which you were still standing in. So that already made zero sense. The way he got into prison was so dumb. Because essentially, right, he's basically wakes up around and surrounded by corpses of his former classmates, and it's just blood everywhere. And the police were just automatically like, "You're alive, so you must have done it," even though he was inside the classroom. And no person would blow up a classroom or blow up anything and still be in the epicenter in which it happened. So that made no sense. But anyway, he goes to court, and his lawyer is corrupt because his lawyer pretty much is the not warden, but pretty much higher up in charge of the prison he ends up going to, right? But his lawyer is a shady lawyer comes in, I'm going to represent you. And I think, if I remember correctly, in the court, he already gets convicted because they're like, capital punishment, you're going to prison for life or whatever, which is insane. And so, the parents from the people, from some of the kids that died, go there and start beating his ass in court, which is crazy. And then his phone falls out, and then it's like a fake recording message of him being like, they'll never suspect I did it. And it's like, this mustache twirling, I blew everyone up, they'll never suspect a kid would be capable of that. And so the lawyer was like, well, it's too late for you now, my boy, I tried. And so basically he had Drewski as his lawyer. And then he gets sent to this prison, right? Which the best way to describe this prison is basically, what if Disney World was actually a front for a sadistic prison experiment, right? So imagine all the employees that were entertainment for Disney were actually convicted felons, right? That's basically what Deadman Wonderland is. It's like it's an amusement park, but there's convicts that work there, right? And they play these death games and these death battles, and people cheer. And because the people don't know that this is actually happening, they think it's all entertainment. They don't think people are actually dying doing these obstacle courses. Because there's a moment where Gengta's okay, he gets introduced to the prison, and then he has to go do this obstacle course, which the best way to describe the obstacle course is like American Ninja Warrior / Wipeout, if you've seen those two. So these really hard obstacle courses, but you have to play for keeps, so you die if you don't do this shit and so people are there cheering, and then these people are just dying. I don't remember the people actually know they're dying or not, but I'm going to go with the assumption that they didn't know. And they don't know these people are actually dying, but the convicts are really dying. And so King's obviously yo, what the fuck? Gotta get out of here, right? And It's so weird, man. Because there's this warden that comes, and she has like, I think one of the convicts is like, "Do you have like what size are those titties?" And she's like, "G cup," because she has a ridiculous set, and she's crazy, just like everybody. Like everyone in the show is just batshit insane. It's just that you keep meeting people who is slightly more insane than the next, and the more insane they are, the more scary they are because the more violent they usually are in terms of this show. And so you have that situation, and again, I'll say this: the animation on this show really well done. The blood and gore on the show really well done. Like I said, it's not like a horror show, but it definitely has this horror aspects to it. And for a show that came on late at like, because it's like show like this has to come on late at night on TV. For a show that came on TV late at night, it really did add to the ambiance. Like this is one of those shows like if you watch during the day, it's like whatever. It's still a show. It's like watching at night doesn't drastically add something to the value of the show, but it does set the mood for how violent and gruesome this show can become at times. So I do appreciate that. And yeah, again, the absurdity of it all, it can be very ridiculous for a lot of people. So I know why this series is very iffy on a lot of people. I lean into the absurdity of this show, so like I don't mind it. I know I kind of like I didn't like per se trash it, but I was kind of like, it's just really ridiculous. Everything in this show is batshit ridiculous. So I just like to lean into the absurdity with some shows. Like this show, I'm all for like controlled chaos. I feel like this show was control-ish chaos. There are things I just didn't make sense, like I said, about him getting in prison, all that stuff. Like the way he got into the show to make it happen was just like conveniences to make it happen, opposed to like actual strategy. Because really, it just didn't make sense. A lot of things in the show don't make sense. But he ends up meeting this girl, Shiro, who is this like girl with white hair, red eyes, and like a body like skin suit. And they end up being like childhood friends and stuff, right? And so she's also insane because she's like mentally, she's like the same age as him, but like mentally, she's kind of like a toddler. Like mentally, I don't even want to say a toddler, but she's like mentally in third grade. What it feels like. Like she has these temper tantrums, but she's also can be really violent. She has a switch, and she can be mad violent. And so she's just you never know. All you know that with Ginta, she's like, yo, I'm on your side type shit, right? So he doesn't have to worry. Everyone else around her is fair game. Like you like, ooh, when she goes crazy, bro. And then there's this dude named Yo, which is basically, he's basically, he has his own objective for what he's doing, because it ends up that his sister is in the prison. Her name is, what was it? Minasuki or something like that. It was something like that. She was in the prison. She is crazy. She's a murderer. She's crazy, and so he's in there, and I don't think he knew she was in there because like there's like if I'm not mistaken, there's a special block in the prison that houses people with superpowers, and these superpowers is blood manipulation. So you watch Jujutsu Kaisen. The dude that has like the blood techniques, the two dudes that have like blood manipulation techniques, is kind of like that, except each person who has a blood manipulation technique in the show, they specifically use their blood different ways. Like I think Ginta, he basically shoots his blood as a projectile. Yo doesn't have any blood powers. There's this character Shinji. He uses his blades like kind of like on his arms, his forearms, so kind of like a grasshopper in a way. So that's kind of cool. And Minasuki, I think she uses her blood on her hair or something like that. I think it was blood on her hair. She uses that. So it's very interesting how they all have different powers, and it's very insane. And you may be thinking, why would they ever participate in any of this? Like, why doesn't the prison riot? Well, because one, this is a private prison, so the government doesn't have too much, like, it's very corrupt. This whole place is very corrupt. Also, each prisoner has a collar on them. Suicide Squad style. Like they have a collar on them that injects poison into their body, and the only way to survive the poison is if you constantly get the antidote. I forgot the timeline you have. I think it's like a couple weeks or a week or a couple weeks or something like that. But you have to constantly get this medicine that is in the form of a candy, right? So the candy is the antidote that you constantly need to digest because the collar's constantly putting poison into you. I think it's constantly putting poison into you, and you need a candy. And the only way you can get the candy is if you buy it from these basically the currency that's in the prison. So to do that, you have to like enter these contests like the American Ninja Warrior Wipeout-esque obstacle course, or do these death battles where you win. When you win the fight, you get the currency, and they use a currency to buy like these candies. You use it to buy ice cream. There's all kinds of stuff they have in this theme park basically that you can buy. But priority is that candy. Because if you don't get that candy, you're gonna die. So that's kind of how they force them to do this. And yeah, man, this shows it's a batshit crazy show, man, and it's a lot of like just it's definitely a show not for kids. I'm like, obviously besides the fact that people get like dismembered and all this stuff, it's just about a lot of sexual themes, a lot of swearing, a lot of like it's a crazy show. But it's a show again that if you're looking for like it's October, fall setting in, you're looking for some good shows to watch in the evening or night, this is a good show like to get onto. It's definitely fun. It's just such a fever dream. Like watching this as like a teenager, like I don't know, 16 or whatever I was when this came out, at least on Adult Swim, and then like just remembering it, I was like, man, this is just a very interesting show. I don't know many people that actually like this show. I don't know many people who've read the manga. Again, I'm not gonna go into the manga, but like, it's a show where, like for example, what I used to do is that every season I would have shows that kind of are really good to watch that season. So like usually for October, I'll be watching Deadman Wonderland, for example. I would probably put on like Shiki. I'll probably put in like one of those, like, there's a bunch of survival anime out there. So I'll get those shows together. I'll watch Halloween, the movie. I'll watch stuff like that. And then every October, just to put you in a spooky mood, that's fall, all that good stuff. Summertime, I'll put in some movie or shows, and whether it's anime or movies, that have to do with the beach, have to do with this stuff, just stuff to help you, keep you in the vibe and all that good stuff. So I do things like that, and this show is definitely one of those. A show that's very interesting, not similar in terms of like the same type of show, but just the same type of like, I guess, horror. Something I would also watch in October would be this anime called Future Diary. If you haven't seen Future Diary, I'm not gonna spoil it for you, but it's another show that I feel like not a lot of people like, but I love. So Future Diary is one of those shows where it's like a survival contest type of horror show, and that is the kind of vibe you get from this. Like the unhinged characters, the messy plot, but with a lot of excitement to it, eccentric characters, stuff like that. That's the only other show I can think of that kind of has that kind of element to it. Because in that show is very similar to some of the people in this show. Like Yuno's craziness is very, very similar to a lot of the characters. There's like Yuno's craziness is the average level of craziness in Deadman Wonderland. Like, to be honest with you, and I also remember that in the show there's like a gang that's inside that's in like a deeper level or something in the like prison, and that's another thing that's so weird to me because I know they kind of explain it, but it still like doesn't make sense. It's like, how is there a gang that's kind of basically like hidden in the it's again, there's a lot of things you have to take leaps to just say, hey, it's a show, let's just take this leap to keep on enjoying it. But if you can, again, lean into the absurdity and enjoy it, you'll probably really enjoy Deadman Wonderland, to be honest with you. But if you don't, I can definitely understand, because again, it's a very uh, wild thing. And something that also is interesting about it is that when you lose these death matches and you're lucky enough to be even alive afterwards, you get in this room where they basically strap you down with no anesthesia, and you have a slot machine, the doctor that comes with a slot machine, and she pulls the lever down, and whatever the slot machine lands on, all three, you lose that body part. So like, I think for the first match, it was Ginta versus Shinji, and Shinji loses. So Shinji loses his eye, like his eye gets ripped out of his skull while he's awake, and they televise it in the prison so everyone can watch it. So that's also insane. And then for the other girl, for Yo's sister, I think she just got lucky and it was like her hair gets cut instead of like her body, and so, or any body parts. And I think the gang, like the leader of the gang inside the prison that wants to like expose the prison for the corruption, like the dude basically like rigged it so it would be her hair to like show good faith and show him that he's one of them. Like I can really I really have motion in this prison for real. Like what I mean. So it's all very interesting. It's an interesting show. Like I said, it's a very niche show that the anime doesn't finish nearly all the subject material. There's a lot of other stuff that kind of goes on in that show, and it's a show that I'll say it's worth watching if you really like this kind of stuff, like you like absurdity, you like horror, or you like bloody things, like if you don't mind that kind of stuff, it's a good show for you. Just know it doesn't finish, like it's not completed anime, it's not completed story. The manga does continue and finish the story, but it's not good in my opinion. Some of the manga is not really that interesting. It doesn't really get more. Not that the most interesting stuff happened in the anime compared to the manga, but like it's not like the manga gets way better or is way different or anything like that. Like what you see in the show is what you get. So if you really enjoy the show, then you'll probably enjoy the manga just as much. But if the show's like okay to you or you don't like it, the manga's not gonna do anything to change your mind or make you like really want to go watch it. So have you seen Deadman Wonderland? What do you think about the show? Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Let me know whether shows, if you have any shows that you want me to review or talk about or do like a deep dive into. Let me know, because I really love talking about shows. It doesn't have to just be anime. It can be movies. It can be TV shows. Hell, it can be about history. It can be about a certain season in the NFL. I know someone told me, a really interesting idea. Someone told me they wanted me to do an episode about the Saints, the New Orleans Saints football team, NFL football team, when they won the Super Bowl, like to go deep dive in that whole season, and that's very interesting to do. So things like that, I'm really open to it. See you on the next one. Peace.